So Sony has just announced in a blog post that the PSVR2 is going to be supported not just on PlayStation 5, but also on PC. But what does that mean for us that actually bought it? And for people who haven't bought it, is that enough of a reason for you to want to go out and spend whatever it is, $700 or $800 on this thing? We're going to be talking about all that and more, so let's jump straight into it by starting with why I've actually got one on my desk here. I don't think I actually made an unboxing video. I don't think I made a review video. I actually made a video on my sub channel saying I finished doing my taxes. I'm actually going to celebrate like the weeks of going through the documentation by buying myself a PSVR2. But the second video I made was actually showing, it was a YouTube short showing me playing the PSVR2 and Gran Turismo 7. Because honestly speaking, that's the only game that I ever thought I was going to play on this. I actually thought to myself, I will spend $700 or $800 on this headset and I will only play one game on it. In fact, since then though, I have bought one other game, and it's No Man's Sky. The reason I don't really buy that many games on my PSVR 2 is because I've already got VR headsets. I've got an HTC Vive, it's the Generation 1 HTC Vive. You may remember when I unboxed it and actually showed you some gameplay on this channel. And obviously the HTC Vive had lightbox tracking, which is incredible because then no matter where your controllers are, even if they're behind your head, the whole thing can be tracked. I moved on from HTC Vive to the Meta Quest 1, and it's okay, but I didn't really use it enough to justify getting a Quest 2, and now I am very much considering getting a Quest 3. But the truth is, I don't use any of my VR headsets. As you know, on this channel, I love to play a lot of fighting games. I'm really into controllers, and obviously VR is a significant controller because where you turn your head, that changes where you're looking in the game. So your head is a controller, and then actually on the PSVR 2, you've also got eye tracking, and so that gives you another form of control. You've got control with your eyes. For all these reasons, PSVR 2 should have been something that I wanted to incorporate more on my channel, but I just didn't really look into it because when I want to play a VR game like Assetto Corsa on PC, I use my Vive. If I want to play Beat Saber without plugging into a computer, I'll play it on my Quest 1. And if I want to play Gran Turismo, I have to use PSVR 2 because this is the only headset that works with PS5. I literally only bought it for that one game. And when you think about it, it's a massive waste of money, and there are probably not that many people out there willing to spend $700 or $800 on just a headset for one game. I think obviously sim racers who are really into Gran Turismo, they were probably like, yeah, of course I'll buy. I mean, if you see how much money is spent on sim racing gear, $700 or $800 is nothing compared to the rest of the stuff that they're buying for their rigs. So in a way, I felt it was like, of course I would spend that much money for just one game, but that's not enough people to support the continued support of this headset. If Sony only sold, I don't know, 500 of these to the people who really love sim racing, then that's obviously not enough money to recoup the costs of development and production of making these and putting them in stock on shelves in stores. They have to reach a certain level before it's just not worth supporting anymore, and they just take it off the shelves, which is like what they did with the PlayStation Vita. Like, it was not out for very long, and they were just like, you know what? This is obviously not working out. Just took it off the shelf. But the PSVR 2 is now going to allow you to play on the PC. And that's a big deal, right? Because that means people will buy loads of PSVR 2, right? And thinking that, you know, if I could use it on my PC as well. Let's talk about that, because how many people buying a PSVR 2 don't have any other headset? Or rather, how many people have a PSVR 2 and also have a PC that can run VR games? The thing about VR in 2024, which I think you'll already have seen with the Apple Vision Pro coming out, is this huge focus, not just by Apple, but also for Meta Quest, on things that are not gaming in VR. Of course, the Meta Quest is the one that is better for gaming because it's actually got controllers, and Apple's not even really focusing that much on gaming. There's so much focus in 2024 on augmented reality or mixed reality, or basically not just going into a 3D world and playing a video game. The whole point isn't video games at the moment with Apple Vision Pro and the Quest 3. It's more like you go into this and then the cameras show you, again, your room. So you go all the way into VR just to come back out and just see your room again. It's like you didn't actually go anywhere. But the difference is that now you can augment your reality with screens. So you can have your MacBook Pro on a screen here, or you could have some video games. You could have PlayStation games playing on a virtual screen, just hovering here in the sky. It is a real thing that you can already do. You don't need to spend $3,500 to get it for the Apple Vision Pro. If you have $500, or I think it might even be less, I don't know how much it is at the moment. If you have $500, you can go out and buy a Quest 3, and you can do that right now. And the cameras aren't perfect, but you will see your room in color and in a reasonable resolution, and you'll be able to interact with stuff like virtual screens. That's not really the focus of what's going on with this, right? This is the PSVR2. It is designed for playing video games, and it only runs on a video game console. PS5, obviously capable. I mean, it has got, I think you would call this inside-out tracking. It's got cameras facing outwards, and so technically it should be able to see what's around you, but I don't actually know if these cameras are color. I just find it interesting that they've decided to introduce PC compatibility for the PSVR2. Now, and again, at the current exchange rate, maybe it's closer to $500 or $600, but it's still a lot of money. Why would you spend $500 or $600 to get a headset that you can use on your PC when there's already something called the Quest 3 out there? So that's standalone VR, none of this wired nonsense. Quest 3 is completely wireless. You could use it, you can plug it into your computer, you can connect it to your computer, also wireless. Not the PSVR2. This is a wired headset. In fact, it's so wired, it's hardwired. You can't pull this cable out. So if this bends too much, I'm actually getting nervous just doing it. If this cable bends too much and it starts to fray, you can't replace it by like unplugging it and plugging a new one in, or at least I don't think you can. Well, you can't do it easily. Even if you can do it, you would have to pull this thing apart and rewire it yourself. I don't think it's going to be an easy thing to do. But the Quest 3, you can do it wirelessly to connect to your PC, or you can use a cable if you want a faster data transfer rate and better resolutions and all that. This is a headset which is probably more expensive than the Quest 3, doesn't give you standalone VR, and to be honest, it's going to be a bit more of a pain using it on your PC. But there is one feature that the PSVR2 has that the Quest 3 won't have. It does have eye tracking sensors in here. So surrounding each of these lenses on the inside is an array of little emitters, or I can't figure out exactly how it works, but it reflects light into your irises, and it knows, it can track exactly where you're looking. That's how they use foveated rendering on PS5, so that they can render at a higher resolution only the places where you're looking, which is more efficient for the processing. But also there are some games, like I think it's Res, you can actually look around at the screen and it will know that you're looking at that and you're aiming at it, and then you can shoot stuff with it. I mean, I think it's a music rhythm action game, so it's not like a super violent game. But anyway, you can imagine how much potential there is in video gaming for eye tracking. And eye tracking is not just a video game thing. They use it in real world situations, and so you can imagine for like flight simulators with HUDs where you can actually aim at certain things around using your eye tracking, or at least your head tracking. There's a lot of cool stuff that could be done for video games using eye tracking. I actually don't even know what else is out there on PSVR 2. Maybe there's a ton of great games out there. I have a feeling from what I've heard and read on Twitter so far, people find that the games available on PS5 are kind of lacking. It's not that they're bad, but it's just there's obviously not that many, and there's not going to be that many. It's like a chicken and the egg problem. People won't make games for PSVR 2 until there's already a lot of games on PSVR 2. No one wants to go to the party when no one is. And at the moment, Apple Vision Pro, which has just come out, is the new hotness. Everyone's going to be going there because everyone trusts Apple. When the iPhone came out, it was big. When the Apple Watch came out, it was big. When the iPad came out, eventually, it was big. All of these things have a pretty good proven track record. We don't know if it's going to be the same for the Vision Pro, but they've got a lot of cool tech in there, and we know that they have some great ideas, and we know that probably by version 4, it will be the kind of product that we were expecting. My question is it actually going to breathe new life into the PSVR 2, or is it kind of end of the road? What I will say is that by making this compatible with PC, and obviously giving us all the benefit of thousands of games already on Steam, for example, and not just Steam, there's obviously the Oculus Store as well. There's obviously a ton of stuff that you can play on your PC in addition to the, I don't know if there's 100 titles. There's not that many titles on PlayStation 5, but there's stuff that you can play on PS5. And one of the main ones, of course, is Gran Turismo 7. For people like me, fantastic. I bought this thinking I'm only ever going to play one game on this headset. And now, if I can plug it into my PC, it means that I'll have a better headset that upgrades from my HTC Vive, because that's the only thing I've got for PC right now. And it has cameras on the outside, so I don't know, even if it's black and white, I can kind of see the outside world. My current HTC Vive cannot do that at all. Or rather, there's like a teeny tiny webcam on the front, and it's really not that great. I have a feeling that these cameras are also not that great. But more importantly, I'll have the PSVR 2 plugged into my PC, and in theory, if they allow it, might allow me to use eye tracking on PC as well. I don't know how many games actually use eye tracking on PC, but if the PSVR 2 has the potential to sell as well as PSVR 1, and actually I think a lot of people did buy PSVR 1, that may sound surprising, but I think actually the sales numbers were fairly healthy. Obviously, they were healthy enough for them to want to make a PSVR 2. Does this breathe new life into the headset? I'm willing to believe that this at least extends the life of PSVR 2. Plus, I can't remember what article it was. I think they said actually PS5 is nearing its end of life cycle. It's funny because we've only really been able to buy PS5 for what, a year and a half? Like finally, after like 2 or 3 years of scalpers being the only people who had PS5s, and you had to pay like $100 to $200 extra just to get one. It feels like PS5 hasn't actually been out that long. If the PS5's reaching the end of its life cycle, what part of the life cycle is PSVR 2 on? It's like barely even started. Listen, this is not the greatest VR headset in the world. It has a way higher resolution than my Vive. It has eye tracking, which is way cooler than my Vive, but it is still a wired headset, and it's console only in 2024. So this announcement that this headset, which is not standalone, must have a cable, it's not wireless, and is console only. The announcement saying that it will allow PC compatibility. Well, personally, I'm really excited about that, and only if eye tracking is going to be really great. Because unfortunately, it still doesn't really get me into the world of augmented reality and mixed reality, which is the true place where all the cool people are right now this year. They're all hanging out in the mixed reality and AR stuff. And I don't think PSVR is ever really going to be able to join that, because from what I've seen, when you do the setup for this, it shows you the outside world just so that you can, like, you know, pick up a cup of water, or they show you the outside world so that you can set up the Guardian so that you don't end up bumping into anything. But as far as I've seen, it's just low resolution black and white. And so unfortunately, this doesn't get us actually into the party in 2024. So PC compatibility promised to come sometime later in 2024, but is that enough to get us in through the door of where the cool kids are really hanging out, which is AR and mixed reality? You decide. Let me know in the comments section below. I'd love the discussion to get started, because truly, I really want to know, like, is there anything else I'll be able to do with this headset? I will also just say, though, even if it is a complete flop and it makes no difference whatsoever, I don't really care, because I just like playing this. I just like using this for Gran Turismo 7. It's just the greatest thing of all time. Even if you don't like racing games, you should try it, because you'll probably start liking racing games once you have. It's amazing. Anyway, I've been NihongoGamer. Definitely check out this video next if you love controllers and interesting ways to interface with your video games. I'll see you real soon.